you look back and think of all the wasted time, but it's, we serve a patient God. And so I'm sure he's been patient with me. I would probably say, like a lot of people, I was born into a strict religious family. I rebelled heavily against it for a long time. I came out of that environment with a lot of anger. Falling in with the wrong crowd in high school was kind of an after effect of probably the family stopped going to church. I was meeting kids at school in the neighborhood. Hey, let's get together. My parents smoke cigarettes. Here's some cigarettes. Well, cigarettes are boring. Let's smoke some weed. We're stealing alcohol out of their pantry. That kind of stuff. And so that led to drinking in high school. I got into heavy metal music, and that was important to me, but I wouldn't say that I was really influenced in a way that was anti-God. It was more just, what's the message of this music, and is it kind of riding on your soul, even though you're not really paying attention to what it's saying? You're paying attention to the musicians because you're a drummer and you think the drums are cool. One of the bands I got eventually invited to try out for and got invited to be a part of is one of the founding death metal bands called Possessed. And I wasn't with them for a long time. It was a reunion of a band that had existed in the 80s and had a lot of success. But around that time is when I realized that, I had dropped out of school to really pursue music. And so I did a radical thing and just decided I was going to move to Oklahoma to go to Oklahoma State so I could get my college finished. Met Kat there, fell in love, and decided I wasn't going to move back to San Francisco when I graduated school. Kat and I, we got pregnant in 2005 with Grant, who was born in 2006. And Will followed a few years later in 2008. We were living in Albuquerque, and I got laid off from my job, and we moved to Louisville, Kentucky. And in Louisville, my new job, I ran into a guy that ended up being a really good first kind of, he befriended me in a way that wasn't judgmental, and he knew some things about me that maybe as a Christian you'd say, "Ooh, that guy's a little scary" or whatever. But he just poured into me. One of the early things I remember was an Easter Sunday before we started coming back to church. We were at the Louisville Zoo. And if I have one moment that was kind of like God saying, "What are you doing?" It was there. I kind of looked at Kat and said, what are we doing? It's Easter Sunday. We moved here in 2012. And we were going to Fellowship Rogers, but again, it was one of those, not going every Sunday. And when we went, it was more just to hear the message and just showing up because I knew it was the right thing to do. But we did start sending our kids to New Life Ranch, starting with the day camp. And then they have routinely gone for years since they were 8 years old. And that's been a huge impact on both Will and Grant. I've watched Will teach himself to play guitar because he wants to lead worship. I've watched Grant really step out of his comfort zone to lead groups of kids at Sunday Night Lights, the group at FSM, just high quality people that have been so good to my boys and to my family. And so it's been fun getting to know them and seeing, the work they're doing with the kids that they're out in front of. And by the grace of God, I feel like I've, through my kids, found my way back into his loving embrace, and it's brutal. It's great, but it's just hard to believe how things have changed in the last 2 to 3 years. Following and really picking it up and doing the Lord's work's a whole different fight. And so I really want to get more involved in that way. I don't know. I feel like I have a story that could really resonate with people that are hard to reach. And so I hope to develop the skills to be able to help do that.